Okay, let's talk about something that so many of us go through, trying to figure out the right senior living situation for a loved one. It's a huge decision, right? It's emotional, it's confusing, and man, the number of options can feel endless. If that's where you are right now, trust me, you are not alone. And it's totally understandable to feel that way. All the different terms, the costs, the different levels of care, it really can feel like you're trying to solve a giant, complicated puzzle. But that's exactly why we're here. The whole point of this explainer is to give you a kind of map, something to help you cut through all that noise and find a clear path forward. So let's just dive right in. We're going to break down the 7 most common senior housing options out there. And we're going to do it using a really simple, but honestly, super powerful tool. It's a framework that's going to help you zero in on what really matters for you and your family. And look, this isn't about memorizing a huge list of different facilities. No way. We can actually boil this whole complicated process down to just 2 simple questions. Seriously, just 2. If you can get a handle on these 2 things, the right path forward starts to get a whole lot clearer. That's it. That's the framework. First, how much help does your loved one actually need day to day? And second, what can you realistically afford? The key here, and this is the magic of it, is that by keeping these 2 questions in your mind, that big, scary list of 7 options, it's going to shrink right down to maybe just 2 or 3 that actually make sense for your situation. So, with that in mind, let's start walking through them. All right, so let's start our journey at the place that offers the most independence. We're talking about options that let seniors stay right in the comfort and familiarity of their own home. You know, this is what most people want, right? Just to stay put. It's officially called aging in place, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's all about bringing the support into the home you're already in. So who's this for? Well, it works great for seniors who are still pretty independent but could use a little help here and there. That help might come from family, or you could bring in services like in-home caregivers or meal delivery. And sometimes it's the simple things like installing grab bars in the shower or getting a medical alert system that make a massive difference in safety. Now, the cost can vary a lot, and let's be honest, it often means a big investment of time from family members who become caregivers. Okay, now building on that same idea is a really cool, kind of innovative model called the village concept. It's a super creative way to bring a whole community of support to people who want to age in place. The best way to think about it is like a subscription for neighborly help. Seriously, members pay a pretty low annual fee. We're talking around $600 on average, and in return, this village organization acts like a concierge. They coordinate volunteers and local businesses to help with stuff like rides to the doctor, yard work, or even just balancing the checkbook. It's a fantastic, really affordable model for anyone who wants to stay home, but also wants to feel connected to a whole network of support. Okay, so what if staying in the current house just isn't the best fit anymore? But what if your loved one is still active, still pretty independent? Well, our next couple of options are all about combining that independence with the perks and support of a community. This is probably what pops into your head when you hear the phrase retirement community. Independent living is exactly what it sounds like. It's housing designed for older adults who are active and don't need much, if any, daily help. You know, a great way to think about these places is like a mini college campus for seniors that really captures the vibe. They're social hubs, and you're free from all the hassles of homeownership. No more cooking, cleaning, or yard work. They've got tons of amenities and activities, but all that convenience does come with a price tag. It's in that medium to high range with monthly fees that can go anywhere from $1,500 to over $10,000. All right, now let's shift gears to something with a completely different feel. We're talking about residential care homes. Think of these as a much more intimate, home-like alternative to those big facilities. You might also hear them called board and care homes or adult family homes. So what this looks like is a small group of residents, maybe just a handful, living together in a normal house in a regular neighborhood. They get their meals, help with daily activities, but the real key here is the high staff-to-resident ratio. You get really personalized care. And it can often be more affordable than the big assisted living communities, which makes it a fantastic medium cost option. Okay, we're now moving into our final category of housing. These next options are for folks who need much more significant daily help with their health and personal care, often including around-the-clock supervision. Assisted living is probably one of the options you've heard the most about. It really tries to strike a balance. Residents usually have their own apartment, so they keep a sense of independence, but they also have the huge peace of mind that comes with knowing care staff is available 24/7.
So this is a great fit for seniors who need a hand with some of those daily activities, things like managing medications, getting dressed, or bathing, but who don't need intensive, skilled medical care. And that's a key distinction. These places also focus a lot on community, with group dining and social events to make sure nobody feels isolated. It's a high level of support for sure, and the cost definitely reflects that.
Next step, we have what you might call the all-in-one solution. It's called a Continuing Care Retirement Community, or CCRC for short. And it's a really unique model because it has a whole spectrum of care levels all on one campus. The huge selling point here is that you're planning for the entire future. Someone can move in while they're totally independent, living in their own apartment, and then, as their needs change over time, they can seamlessly move to the assisted living or skilled nursing part of the same community. It offers incredible security and peace of mind, but it does come at a pretty significant price. And yeah, let's be really clear about this. CCRCs are generally the most expensive of all the long-term care options. They usually require a very large upfront entrance fee, think 6 figures sometimes, plus those ongoing monthly fees that will go up as a person needs more care. And that brings us to our final option, nursing homes, which are also called skilled nursing facilities. This is where you'll find the absolute highest level of medical care you can get outside of a hospital. This is really for older adults with serious, complex medical conditions that require 24/7 monitoring and hands-on care from licensed medical professionals. A doctor supervises every resident's care plan, and there are always nurses on site. And again, this is the critical difference between a nursing home and assisted living, which is much more focused on non-medical daily support. Whew. Okay. So we've just walked through all 7 options. I know it's a ton of information, but the good news is you now have the tools you need to turn this huge, overwhelming list into a clear, manageable plan. And it really all comes back to where we began. Remember those 2 simple questions? They basically become your 3-step action plan. Step 1, get a really honest assessment of the daily care that's needed. Step 2, take a hard look at the budget and see what's realistic. And then, step 3, use that info to take our big list and shrink it down to just the 2 or 3 best options that are worth exploring more. And that right there, that's your starting point. As you start to look into those few options, we want to leave you with one last question to keep in your mind. Because after you've looked at all the care levels and crunched all the numbers, the most important piece of the puzzle is the human one. So ask yourself, what does the word home really, truly mean to the person you love? The answer to that question, well, that's what's going to point you in the right direction.